Tutor 254.
Hello there, welcome to my class. Today I want us to learn about anatomical position. Now, there comes a crucial question. You ask yourself, what is anatomical position? Anatomical position, or a standard anatomical position, refers to the specific body orientation used when describing an individual's anatomy. So when you're learning about the human body, we usually refer to this particular position. All anatomical descriptions are in reference to this particular orientation of the body. So how do you describe this position? So in anatomical position, the subject is standing erect, facing the observer. So when you have an individual standing upright, facing the observer, that is one point that describes this position. Now the second point is the arms are hanging at the sides with the palms facing forward. And lastly, the feet are slightly apart, flat on the floor with toes directed forward. So if you can see that diagram on my screen, that's actually a description of what anatomical position is. Now, apart from anatomical position, we also have other positions which we usually refer to whenever we are studying human anatomy. For instance, we have the supine position, which is also known as dorsal decubitus. This position is most frequently used during procedures. Okay? So besides this, we also have many other positions that are commonly used in medicine. We have, for instance, prone position, which is the inverse of supine, whereby an individual is facing down horizontally. And then we have lithotomy position, among many others. Now, why is it important to study or to understand what anatomical position is? What is the importance of this position? So the answer is, a standard anatomical position provides a clear and consistent way of describing the human anatomy and physiology, so that when assessing an individual's anatomy, many anatomical terms are used to describe the relative position of various appendages in relation to the standardized position that is under this description. So it is always good to have one common position whenever describing various terminologies or terms with regards to direction of the human body. So we have such terms such as medial and lateral, superior and inferior, anterior and posterior, among many others. I'm going to discuss just a few of these for your enlightenment. We are going to start with superior and inferior. So superior basically means towards the head. Another term for superior is cranial. So you can say that the leg is superior to the foot. Okay, the leg is superior to the foot, meaning that the leg is above the foot or towards the head compared to the position of the foot. Inferior is the counter term for this, and inferior, another terminology for inferior is caudal. You can say that inferior is towards the feet, meaning that the foot, if you give an example of the foot, you can say that the foot is inferior to the leg, so that if you can compare the position of the leg and the foot, you find that the foot is towards the lower extremities compared to the leg. So the next terminology is posterior and anterior. So posterior means towards the back, the body. A good example is the ears and the nose. You can say that the ears are posterior to the nose, while anterior, which is also known as ventral, means towards the front part of the body. So you can say that the nose is anterior to the ears, okay? Meaning that the nose is towards the back, towards the front compared to the ears. Then we have medial and lateral. So if you have someone standing in an anatomical position, and then you have a line, an imaginary line cutting all the way from the head to the toes, so that the line cuts the body into two equal parts superficially to the right and to the left. Then you will have that line being the midline. Okay? It's also referred to as a sagittal line. So we have the medial, meaning that any part of the body that goes towards that midline of the body is medial. You can have an example of the nose and the eyes. So you can say that the nose is medial to the eyes, meaning that the nose is towards the midline more than the eyes. Then we have the lateral, which is the opposite term for that. So the lateral always is used regarding to structures away from the midline of the body. You can have the same example of the eyes and the nose. And you can say that the eyes are lateral to the nose, meaning that the eyes are away from the midline compared to the nose. And then we have proximal and distal. Proximal means towards or nearer to the trunk of the body or attachment to the end of the limb. So you can say that the shoulders are proximal to the wrist. So if you compare the position of the shoulders and the wrist, you can see that the shoulders are closer to the trunk of the body compared to the wrist. Distal is the counter term for that, and this one means away or further from the trunk of the body or attachment of the end of the limb. So you can say that the wrist is distal to the forearm, meaning that the wrist is far away from the trunk of the body as compared to the position of the forearm. And then we have superficial and deep. So superficial means nearer to the surface of the body, while deep means far away or further from the surface of the body. So giving a good example again, the ribs and the heart. So if you compare the position of the ribs and the heart, you can say that the ribs are superficial to the heart, meaning that the ribs are towards or nearer to the surface of the body as compared to the position of the heart. Deep, on the other hand, is the inverse of the same. So if you talk about the deep, deep means further from the surface of the body. And a good example is the same again, the heart and the ribs. So that you can say the heart is deeper to the ribs, meaning that the heart is far away from the surface of the body as compared to the ribs. So that marks the end of our short discussion today. And I hope to see you next time in another lecture. Thank you so much, and see you in our next video.